We might get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar with Cowch. I'm Anna, I'm campaign manager here at Birchal. And just before I introduce our founder and team here today, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we are beaming in from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, these webinars are super fun to run because we get to really have a chat with some of the incredible founders and teams running the campaigns on our platform and hear directly from them. And today I am joined by Cowch. I've got our founder, Arif, and general manager, Brad, here to have a really good chat with you all and introduce the business. Now, just a little bit of background on how today's session will run. Brad and Arif will take us through a presentation, which will run for about 15 to 20 minutes, really giving us a background on Cowch, who they are, where they've come from, what they've been up to since they've launched, and a little bit about where they're heading and the background of their capital raise. We'll then switch to a Q&A session. So if you have a look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble. So during the session, feel free to pop your questions in there and we can go through those at the end of the session. Now we are recording this session, so if you have to jump off early, not to worry, we'll be sending around the recording after the session. And without further ado, I might hand over to Arif and Brad.
Awesome. Thank
you.
Hey guys,
how are you?
Welcome. My name is Brad. I'm the general manager here. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. We're super excited for you to join us today. Just bear with me for one moment while I get this started. We're super excited for you to join us today. We'll keep it nice and light. Obviously, we spend most of our time running venues and making great desserts, and not a lot of time public speaking in forums like this. So
I'll speak for yourself.
Please bear with us as we work through it. We'll keep it as quick as we possibly can at the start to leave enough time for you guys to ask some questions at the end. But what we'll ultimately cover off on is what our journey has been so far. We'll touch on what our business model is and how we make money. We'll talk about the market and the opportunity that lies in the dessert industry at the moment. And then we'll talk about how our company plans to tackle that opportunity. And then plenty of time for question and answers at the end. As a kid, I always wanted to meet Willy Wonka, and now I get to work for him. So I'd like to introduce our founder, the guy that started all of this, and our managing director, Arif Nemes.
Hey guys, how are you? Just a little bit of background. I won't go on too long, hopefully, about how we started. There's some photos of my wife and I back in 2014. Little bit of story about how we got to that point. We grew up in Western Sydney, and ex-life I was a mortgage broker and financial planner, but I felt empty and wasn't doing something that was fulfilling and something that was us I guess that we could be proud of. So we started. My wife was a beautician back then, Harbour, but I started to just really go out and look for what I wanted to do, and I spoke to many other different franchises, and I knew that hospitality was sort of what I wanted to do, and I started to really walk around and go out at night with Harbour and really try and understand the psyche of what people were trying to do. And what we realized was people would go for dinner. They might have pre-drinks somewhere, they'd go to dinner somewhere, but then they'd usually walk and have drinks somewhere else, or they'd have gelato somewhere else, or they'd go and have a coffee to finish off. Going out for dinner doesn't have to be a 1 hour, 2 hour night. If you want to go out with friends, it can be a 4 or 5 hour experience. So we started to really, going back, I said, we started to have friends that were having kids at that stage. This is going back about 10 years now. And obviously some of our group didn't have kids, and there was no place that we could go all together. So we really started to think about how do we create an environment and a hospitality venue that's inclusive and inviting for everyone at any time. We quickly understood growing up in Sydney that it was very competitive. The rents were very expensive, and you get gobbled up and spat out very, very quickly. We looked at the Melbourne market, but food was obviously very, very advanced, and the hospitality dining precincts. I started to come up to Gold Coast and Brisbane to have a look at how the food culture was up here, and it was emerging. But we made the decision to come up and sort of be part of that emerging hospitality scene that was Southeast Queensland. Very lucky in that photo. Both those photos are actually us standing inside the South Bank venue in 2014 whilst we were building it. So that's a little bit about where we came from, and our journey thus far. We opened South Bank in 2014. Our 2016, we opened our Broadbeach store. Now that store has moved in 2021. The reason why it moved, we did open in 2016 in Pacific Fair Shopping Centre, but unfortunately it wasn't a late night venue, and I guess what was promised to the precinct never actually eventuated. So that's now moved to under the Oracle, or part of the Oracle Boulevard, which is under the Peppers Towers, and it's synonymous with great food and late night. So that's working really, really well. Chermside was our first step into Westfield Centre, and that's our biggest store. It fits about 250 people. So it's very, very nice. It's probably, I'd say, my favorite venue, South Bank, because it's the OG, but it's definitely got the best opportunities at Chermside. We opened our first Garden City, that's our first franchise, in 2021, and also opened our production facility. So last year was a massive year for us, and we'll get into the goals a little bit further on. Just wanted to touch on our team, what we've done to the latter part of last year and the start of this year was, I understand what we want to do is build an amazing big business, an amazing company, and become the next McDonald's. I guess there is no McDonald's of desserts, so that's what we want to do, and we need a great team around us. So I've scoured the Brisbane scene to find the best people that I possibly can, and I'm very happy and very fortunate to have the likes of Brad, who's got 11 years experience running Flight Centre as GM of Queensland, and Trent Farrell, who's been with pubs in Victoria Park for a very long time. Nathan's been with me for 8 years, and Rian has done amazing work all around the world in the pastry scene. And he is a pastry chef, but he's bordering on being a molecular scientist, because he knows so much about the structure of how things go together. So very happy with the team that we've assembled, just to show you guys the basis of who we've got on the team and that we are ready to scale.
In terms of our business model, this kind of articulates how Cowch makes money, and what our business model looks like. You can see there on the, I think it's on your right-hand side on your screen. We started as a cocktail dessert bar in South Bank, and those venues have now grown to 4, including a franchise. We do have a gelato bar, which we'll touch on later, which is coming soon. Cowch HQ is essentially our head office facility here in Morningside. This is where the leadership team is. The leadership team has obviously looks after all the, I guess, the corporate components of Cowch, which includes finance, marketing, sales, operations, and people and culture. And that's all being brought in-house. As Arif touched on, we've got a great team here. Underneath us is our production facility, which was opened last year. It's been running for just over a year now. And that produces all of the goods for our stores. So pancakes, waffles, you can see some of it behind us. Pancakes, waffles, crepes, pizza bases, fudge sauces, caramel sauces, strawberry coulis. We've got gelato. We do cakes. 76% of the food that's consumed in our venues is made by our kitchen downstairs in our production facility. The production facility has also allowed us to open up new revenue streams externally. And we now service the bid food into the food service industry, and we're launching a catering model, which is just about to launch. In terms of our venues, Our venues are roughly about 200 square meters, give or take, depending on which venue we're talking about. And on any given moment in time, we can seat 625 people across those 4 venues.
So this is, I just want to talk to you about what we see as our hub and spoke model. The dessert cocktail bars are the lifeblood of what Cowch is. I guess it's the soul of what Cowch is. It's where desserts and cocktails and large spaces for groups to come and share. But as we grow, we see that as the hub. And we've got 4 locations, like Brad touched on, in Southeast Queensland, and that's probably done for Southeast Queensland. As we move down south with our ambitions, down to Sydney, Melbourne, we see probably similar number, maybe 1 or 2 more of the hubs. But what we do see fast growth in is the gelato bars being the spoke. So we're saying there that for one dessert cocktail bar, you can have up to 5 spokes around it. And this is the model that's really exciting and more, I guess, franchisable, because it's a lower barrier of entry. Everyone knows cost of living at the moment, the way it's going, interest rates are going high. So we really wanted to develop a model that had a lower barrier of entry and made it more accessible to everyday people to be part of the journey. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, that is an actual render of the store at South City. If you guys have watched the campaign video, you would have seen me out the front of the store with the hoarding, but that's actually what it's going to look like. So we're super excited to open that store in April next year.
As I touched on, we opened our production facility here at Morningside just over a year ago. Sales for the last financial year, we did 73,000 individual pancakes, 63,000 individual crepes, 48,000 individual waffles in the financial year last year. As I said, that continues to grow and opens up new revenue streams for us in both the food service and catering industries, as well as servicing our own stores. The production facility is actually big enough to produce food for up to 10 Cowch stores. So it's ready to go for our growth plans. In terms of our distribution through the food service industry, this is basically shows that we've got those dark pink dots are the 3 big food depots that we currently service. And those dots that aren't coloured are the remaining Queensland big food depots. And that kind of shows the opportunity that exists there in terms of tapping into those markets.
But we are getting inquiries from, as far as Sydney right now, right, to provide pallets of, what was it, pavlova base?
Yes, correct.
So,
yeah,
it's exciting.
The other great thing about the production facility is it actually enables us to control our supply chain, which has been incredibly important. If anyone's read the newspaper or watched any of the news recently, food security is a major issue in Australia, and getting raw materials, ingredients into the country and then produced and finished goods has been incredibly hard for everyone in food service. Bringing it in-house allows us to control that. It allows us to make sure that our stores constantly have a supply and our customers can come into our venues and get a dessert whenever they want. Many others in the food service industry, unfortunately, are having supply shortages and food shortages, which means that they can't make revenue and sell to their customers. The other part is, as Arif touched on, we've got an incredible culinary director and a culinary team downstairs that basically formulate our products to be custom made for us, but also for the food service industry. One of the big pieces is that if you're going to have waffles or pancakes or crepes anywhere, they're going to be hot and they're going to be heated. Now, most gelato will melt in seconds. Or if you're in a hot climate like we are here in Queensland, if you want to eat gelato outside, it's going to melt pretty quickly. Our gelato is designed to be able to sit on a waffle so that our customers in store can sit there and take Instagram shots and TikTok shots and put all over social media.
Whilst using natural products. So that's exciting. The opportunity. This is what excites me, being the visionary and the strategist. I'm always trying to look forward, but just to understand what we're talking about, what makes us super excited is the sheer size of the Australian dessert market. People think, but you just sell pancakes, waffles. Like, how big can this market be? Well, ice cream manufacturing in Australia, you can see some stats there, $1.3 billion. This will get sent out, so you don't have to take notes. But I'll just quickly skim over because the important stuff is at the bottom there. The frozen cake and pastry manufacturing is massive, 810 million. So there's massive markets for manufacturing. What is super exciting and what's the buzzword around Australia now is reshoring, and it's about bringing products back to Australia and making Australian manufactured products. Now, when we started to go on this journey of building the production facility, and then Bidfood approached us to open our portal for food service clients and supply hotels and restaurants, etc., I sort of wanted to dig deep and understand, why is there a shortage? Who's gone out of business? Why? Or is it just that we import everything? So we spent a lot of time, and the references are at the bottom of the email there for your benefit, and understanding where and how much we actually import. I was absolutely flabbergasted in the Cowch categories. Now, Cowch categories are waffles, pancakes, mixes like a dry mix, gelato, and cakes. So 5 different things that Cowch. Sorry, they're there. Australia imports $712 million per annum of those products. We don't manufacture hardly anything based on the consumption here. So whilst our market is we still manufacture a large amount, there's still a large amount that we don't. And what's even more important for us is waffles and pancakes are not manufactured in Australia. They're all imported. So whatever you're eating out there, it's not Australian. So we want to provide an Australian-based product and scale that to manufacture and supply Australia-wide. So you can start to see some numbers there. Just waffles are $67 million in imported revenue. So for the Australian economy, it's a big deal. We met with Cameron Dick, the Treasurer of Queensland, last week, and we're having follow-up meetings to see how we can gain support from the Queensland government to accelerate those plans. So our business objectives. This is, again, where I get excited. What we're going to use the funds for and what we want to do. We want to grow wholesale. Obviously, this is a major focus of ours by hiring not just a BDM, but the best BDM salesperson in the industry to really grow that side of it, and open up more 3PL suppliers and expand the Bidfood distribution nationally. So that's how we're going to grow our wholesale. Also exciting is our alcoholic gelato range. Now, I touched on it. You saw a cheeky little part in the camera where the camera drops. But yes, we are developing, and most of the people will say, oh, but alcohol don't freeze. It does if you know how to manipulate the molecular structure and have the correct binding agents. We want to launch alcoholic gelato, and we want to put that into retail. So people can buy tubs of that in BWS, Dan Murphy's, and wherever it may be. So that's an exciting range. That's imagine having a tub of 1 litre gelato. That's 4 standard drinks. I think you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's very exciting for me. And it's giggling. So that would be cool. Master franchising into the Middle East is also planned. We're currently in due diligence, which means it's not just discussions, it's not advanced discussions, it's actually, they've actually entered into DD with a large Middle Eastern consortium to open Cowch dessert bars across the Middle East. So initial forecasts are 15 within 5 years, but those DD and the conversations are progressing. We want to increase our production. Obviously, we want to buy some as our levels and the food service increases. We do need to keep up, and we've got to find that balance of whether we put more people on or whether we start to bring in semi-automated equipment, and also make the chefs' lives a little bit easier by using semi-automated equipment. Research and development, this is really close to my heart, and really I like to push the boundaries of what can and can't be done. So we do have current research projects with the Queensland Department of Agriculture and Fisheries that we're working on, and that is all being developed. Can I tell them when it's or not yet? No, a bit later. Okay. Export opportunities. We are working with Trade Invest Queensland and with Austrade, and we've got a lot of interest to export our product into markets. This is very interesting. We think that, as I touched on before, the Australian import market is, for our categories, is about 700 million. If you look at the market in the Middle East, it's about $2 billion of just our category items. So what's happening in the Middle East and in Southeast Asia, because of the tariffs coming from the EU, being Europe, and because of carbon emissions and water pollution, it's actually more expensive to import from Europe as it is to Australia, even though we're so remote. Australia is seen as clean and green. We do have very clean water. We do have minimal emissions. So the world is actually looking to Australia to import from us in lieu of importing from Europe. So that's very exciting, and those conversations are progressing. And we want to launch a catering offer. Actually, we just launched it. We've landed, I think within the first 2 days, landed a massive, our first catering deal on the Gather platform. So that's super exciting as well. And that will start to bring in, we're hoping of a considerable amount of revenue per week. That's it. Is that all? Oh, we did well. No? Mate, we invite you guys to own a piece of happiness and come on the journey with us. And I look forward to answering all your questions.
And I should point out that photo is Arif's daughter, Azelle, who is the real CEO of Cowch. She's our product tester. Best piece of feedback that we ever get is Azelle.
Yeah, she was in a meeting. She wanted to see, she was sick one day. I brought her to work and she sat in a meeting, and we're presenting to someone, and she actually, she was trying the product and she goes, "This is dry. I don't like this." And then she tries something else. "Oh, no, you should buy this. This is really good." So she's very blunt, like her mum, very straight to the point. So yeah, we love her.
I love it. The future of Cowch.
Absolutely.
Future CEO, Brad, settle down. Thank you so much, guys. That was super insightful. I am excited to get stuck into some questions. So if people could please start popping some into the Q&A, we can start going through them. But obviously, I've had the pleasure of getting to know you both and the business for a little while now. I guess I have a question. So you're expanding your concepts. So you're looking at obviously a new gelato bar concept, and sort of obviously basing that off where you really do see that need within the community. Could you talk a little bit about that, how that fits in with the broader, I guess, strategy, different locations? Obviously, Melbourne isn't quite as sunny and hot as beautiful sunny Queensland. So how might that fit into your geographical strategy as well?
Do you want me to start?
Well, I'll touch on the Melbourne thing. We actually sell more gelato in winter than we do in summer.
Do you?
True. Yeah. So it's yes, we associate ice cream and gelato with hot, but we actually sell more in winter.
Well, our sales actually grow in winter. Being a very pink brand, I appreciate you wearing pink today, Anna. Is our female demographic is predominantly in winter consume more desserts than they would in summer. So everyone wants to look good in summer and dress nicer and stuff like that. So our sales actually grow 20, 30, 40% in the winter months. So and that's not just with us, it's synonymous with dessert brands in general. So,
but to answer your question in terms of the gelato bar concept, if you Arif touched on the business opened the Broadbeach store in Pacific Fair down and because it's a shopping centre, its traditional trading hours, are until 5 or 6 o'clock, and there's a little bit of late night trade. And I think if you compare that to the first store that opened, which is based in South Bank, and for people interstate, that is, essentially like a food and entertainment kind of hub of Brisbane. The late night trade for the Cowch dessert cocktail bars is perfect, and that's exactly where the Cowch dessert cocktail bars need to be. We do most of our trade after 7, 8 o'clock at night. In fact, probably on any given Friday or Saturday, 70% plus is after 7 p.m.
And Melbourne and Sydney are more of a late night culture, late out dining. Is that
correct? Right? Yeah. And then the gelato bar concept, I mean, it's a smaller footprint. It allows us to be able to scale it really quickly, but also allows us to open up into retail outlets and precincts that aren't relying on late night trade. So it's perfect for shopping centres. It's perfect for by the beach. You know, it's perfect for places like we're about to open in South City Square, which has a high density population, and it's also a huge traffic area. So it's perfect for takeaway. It's perfect for delivery partners like Uber Eats, and that continues to grow in Brisbane. So our first concept is based in South City Square in Woolloongabba, and that Woolloongabba Kangaroo Point area in Queensland has more traffic pass through it than any other suburb in Queensland on any given day. So it's perfect for takeaway, perfect for delivery partners, and obviously high density population. And obviously, you know, Sydney and Melbourne, high density population, obviously lots of retail opportunities. So it's perfect to scale and scale quickly.
Yeah, and taking the larger footprint stores obviously comes with larger capital investment and higher rents. So it allows us to sort of spread quicker and to reach more people than having just the larger format stores.
Yeah, great, thank you. Wanted to quickly ask as well, so you did touch on supply chain issues, and obviously Australia-wide, we've noticed that over the past few years, and COVID was a difficult time for everyone. Now, I know obviously as well from talking to you that quality of your produce is super important to you. Could you talk to us a little bit about, I guess, your ingredients, I guess I know you're very passionate about that. So maybe if you could share with everyone a little bit about your strategy with your raw materials supply.
Yeah, we and it's not only me that's passionate. When everyone meets our culinary director, Rian, he's ultra passionate, and I know Brad's laughing because we have very, very passionate the discussions. But look, we made a very early on this decision we want to support local, and we want to support Australian businesses, and we create that circular economy. Even to produce, for example, gelato, you need to import synthetics from one supplier out of Denmark, which produces it called Danesco. Now, we don't want to do that. Even to import, I don't know if everyone knows, but in every gelato, there's forms of seaweed that's used as a binding agent called capicaragine and different gums, and they're all imported from overseas. So we are ultra passionate and ultra committed to developing and learning about Indigenous-based products and how we can better utilize what we have in Australia to develop the best products and not import it. If we can't go out there and preach to the treasurer and everyone if we're still going behind everyone's back and trying to import what we can from overseas. So we are on a mission to create a circular economy within Australia, and obviously what's close to my heart as well is to support the Indigenous community, and if we could have Indigenous products within our product, within as a raw ingredient within our products, that would just be the cherry on top. So that is a mission. We're not quite there yet, but it's our endless pursuit of creating that. So that's why we spend a lot on R&D. I think last year we spent upwards of 800,000-900,000 on research and development and how we can do things a bit better.
Great. Thank
and
you.
Gelato, everyone thinks gelato needs to be Italian for it to be quality, and it's not. We're very passionate about being Australian gelato.
Not that we don't love our Italian, of course. We do. We just want to create Australian gelato.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it. Right. We've had a question. How exactly would we as investors realize actual profit and gain from this proposed growth? Now, I'll just quickly share a little bit of background into equity crowdfunding, as some people in the webinar may be new to it. So allow me to introduce you a little bit, just to highlight the kind of asset class that this is. When you buy shares from a company like Cowch, through a platform like Birchal, you're buying fully owned ordinary shares in either a private organisation like this or a public unlisted Australian company. Now, the shares that come through deals like this are considered illiquid, unlike the ASX, where you can buy shares and decide to sell them in a relatively short period of time should you wish. Through private investments is a less volatile market. And we really recommend that every investor reads our crowdsourced funding general risk warning and the terms of the offer to really consider these investments as a medium to long-term investment, because you may find it hard to divest of your shares if you decide that this is no longer for you, or if you need your money back at short notice. That is really the philosophy of people who invest in these deals. Obviously, everybody wants to get a return, and that's why we invest in the companies. But the investors that do really get the benefit from these deals are in it for the long run. And hopefully when it comes to exit events, the value is obviously at a greater value than when you bought in, and that's sort of how you get your money back. There's lots of information on our website about this, and you can also obviously check out MoneySmart or speak to your financial advisor to work out if this investment is right for you. But I just wanted to, I guess, lay that context out around the asset class. Now, these are obviously typically earlier stage, higher risk ventures than more established operations. When you invest in these companies, you may lose your investment, or they could go to great growth and everything goes really well. Of course, Arif, Brad, you'd love to have a crystal ball into the future to say what the future is going to look like for Cowch, that you're going to have dividends or exiting, getting acquired in X amount of years' time. But obviously we can't put timeframes on these things or provide any guarantees that these events are going to happen. I imagine as you grow, you do have a view and a vision of where you'd like to see the company go in terms of, exit events or how people could get their money back. I mean, with all of these things in mind and an understanding that obviously you can't provide any guarantees, but you've obviously got and you've given us a great idea of what the future could look like. But if you could talk just a little bit about that.
Okay. Look, I started this with my wife 9 years ago, and obviously we do want it. There needs to be an exit at some point, and whether that's 5 years, 10 years, we are in the business of making money. We need to make money, and I will be on an endless pursuit to make sure that we do make money and the investors get a great return. But yeah, I would like to see Cowch national and international in terms of the stores, and from a manufacturing front, be exporting and be distributing across Australia. So we're working tirelessly on those opportunities. But yeah, I'm very conscious of what I can and can't say, Anna.
All good, thank you. We've had a question here of what's the ROI, and I will also again jump in here. I'll just run through people, I guess, the process that we are in at the moment. So we're in an equity crowdfunding campaign. We're in the expression of interest stage right now. So we're getting market feedback around what the interest is in the market for the offer in terms of a range of parameters such as the valuation or return on investment. Now, for everyone listening, the full terms of the offer, valuation, share price, financial statements are all going to be available in the offer document, which will become available when the offer does actually go live next week. So for that, I think that probably answers that one. And also we've had the question, what percentage of the business is being applied to this offering? How are you valuing the business to work out the investment you are seeking? What's the multiple times EBITDA? Now, again, sort of covered that. We are in the process of working out the terms of the offer. So all of that will become available in the offer document when it becomes available next week. Arif, is there anything you wanted to share just on that as well?
I guess, look, it's been a process trying to work out the valuation, and there's many different ways to skin a cat. So Brett and I have had long conversations about this, and we want to make sure that we are very fair and equitable in what we're trying to do. Our ambition is to give away, well, not give away because everyone's going to invest, but part with 10% of the company. But yeah, the valuation, all I say is we are doing everything we can to make sure it's very, very fair. And there's an EBIT valuation is one way to value it. Asset valuation is a different way to value it. You can value it and multiply it on revenue. And we all know, the events that happened last year, such as Omicron and floods, etc., which impacted profits. So there's many factors that one has to take into consideration when trying to come up with that. But what I will do is, hand on heart, is come up with a fair position to where we are now, and so everyone can jump on the journey.
Great, thanks. We have also had a question. Food cost is very high. Someone's read that your food cost is 32%. Does your production factory run independent and look at its own bottom line, or how do we understand the ROI and health of the business units, stores, head office and factory?
Good question.
Yeah, great question. First of all, in terms of understanding the bottom line and the financials, that'll be available in an offer document for everyone. Each of our, the production facility and the venues have their own P&L they work off, and absolutely look at their own bottom lines. The production facility needs to be a profitable journey for us. Great question around rising cost of goods, and I think it puts us in, the production facility puts us in a unique and advantageous position to make sure that we can be agile when costs are changing quite consistently and regularly. So we went through a bit of a journey as we started to come out of COVID, and obviously everyone was impacted by Omicron and the floods, and that started to affect supply chain as well as the war in Ukraine. And we took that time to kind of pause and reassess everything, and that's everything from the cost that a customer pays in our venue to what products we're purchasing to create these menu items in our venues, all the way back to our logistics arrangements, and then our production facility. And in the production facility, we've looked at how we formulate our products and what raw materials and where we get our raw materials from. So great question. What we've been able to do in the first quarter of financial year 23 is actually get our gross profit. At the moment, it's sitting at 57% for that first quarter. However, in October, it was at 70%. And what we've done is we've changed the formulation of a lot of our products and changed raw materials suppliers to make sure that we've, one, got an ongoing supply, and two, at a really good price. We've shifted to buying in larger quantities, which is obviously bringing down the cost of raw materials. So at the moment, the production kitchen has a gross profit as of end of October at 70% for the October month. And our stores likewise, year to date is sitting at 69% gross profit. So we've increased on last year despite those rising food costs. We'll continue to do that. We've also launched table ordering in our venues, and that allows us to be a little bit more flexible with our pricing where we need to. If there's significant prices in some of our core ingredients like chocolate, for example, we have two ways, and that is, one, we reformulate the menu item to reduce the amount of chocolate that we use and substitute it with another product, or two, increase the price. Now, obviously, increasing the price is something that everyone's doing at the moment, and it's something that we don't take lightly, because obviously we want to ensure that our customers continue to come to Cowch and buy our products. So we've got a great team here. We constantly look at every single facet that goes into making up that gross profit amount. And we're super comfortable and super confident with where we're at the moment.
Great, thank you. Now we had a question of, will any financial statements over the last 3 to 5 years be released for analysis? I can answer here for everyone. The last 12 months or previous financial year statements will be available in the offer document, and any recent up to a relevant period financials as well will be provided with management financial commentary from the team as well. So these will become available in the offer document when the offer goes live next week. So look out for it there. We've had a question asking, what does your capital structure currently look like?
Good question. Capital structure in terms of our debt and how much we've put in, etc. Again, all of that will be available. There's been extensive conversations, and Brad's just passing me the offer document as we speak. But all of that will be in the offer doc. We've had, like I said, extensive conversation about that with accountants, and there was interrelated company loans and also related party loans to myself from the 9 years of capital that I've put in. So all that will be very, very articulately marked out in the offer document. And once it's out, I'm happy to explain more in more detail if the person that asked requires. But I think there's a whole page and a half on it. So.
But ultimately, at the moment, the company's 100% ARIFs. There's no other shareholders in the company at the moment.
Great, thank you. We've also had just a comment from Mark about EBITDA being important and the number that he needs. That will all of the financials will be in the offer document for you to check. We've had another question come through. As Cowch looks to go through gelato bars and general expansion, will improving the quality of current Cowch stores and franchises remain a key focus?
Absolutely. I think everything that's happened in the world in the last 12 months and the strain that's been put on the hospitality industry and the manufacturing industry means that everyone has to look inward and make sure that you're delivering a great product to a customer. Super competitive environment, and we know that. We're very fortunate to have a very large and loyal customer base. We've got 39,000 subscribers to our email database. We've got a large social media following. And our customers are very good at letting us know if we're not hitting the mark. And I think that's incredibly important. We take it very seriously. Every Tuesday morning we meet and we review every single review that's come through every single platform. So absolutely, we'll continue to look at our customer experience. And that's not just in terms of the way our people interact, it's also how we present our business and our brand in our venues. Part of our objectives for the next in the short term is to revamp our South Bank venue. It's our oldest venue. It's been there for the longest. And as the customer changes to a table ordering kind of model, our business model needs to change in store as well. So we'll be looking at refurbishing that store to make it more customer friendly. Ideally fit more people in, because there's always a queue out the door on a Friday and Saturday night and not enough tables. But absolutely, it's our new head of venues has a very long hospitality background, working for some of the major pub groups around Queensland. Internationally, he's worked overseas, and he's really worked with the team to raise those standards in the stores. Great,
love it. I think it's totally apparent when companies really do keep their customer at the core of every decision that they do. And even just from getting to know you both over this process, I can definitely see that that's something you both are super passionate about. So highly commended there. Great question from Jacob here. Why crowdfund over a single large investor, or, and I'll expand on his question, other forms of capital raising?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Anna?
Why crowdfunding over other forms of capital raising, such as a single large investor?
Great question. Look, we, over the many years, firstly, the banks have been very, very supportive. We've got a very close relationship with Judo Bank, which supports small to medium big businesses in terms of the unsecured finance space. All my livelihood is in Cowch. I'm all in. But trying to align ourselves with one particular investor, or with a private equity firm or venture capital firm, we've had conversations. It just either we haven't met the right person, or I'm not one to look at. I guess after conversations with large private equity firms, I don't want to make it just singularly about the bottom line. Whereas yes, we're here to make money, but I don't want to take the essence of and the soul of what Cowch is. partnering with banks for debt was attractive when last year when it was 3 to 5% for unsecured funding. Now it's sitting anywhere between 15 and 25%. So it's become more expensive. I did not know what crowdfunding was. I remember reaching out only probably a month and a half ago and spoke to Anna, and I love the idea of sharing with the crowd and having advocates and couches out there that own a part of what we're doing, so they can come on a journey with us. So it was very appealing to what our business model is. But look, we are always looking at future investors, either horizontally, to align ourselves with different people, so that the question of large PE firms or singular investors is not out of the question. Just when we meet the right person, that our ethics and our standards and our dreams all align, then we'll happily do a deal.
Great.
I think it also lends itself to what we just spoke about before, like Cowch is about the customer. And like in Southeast Queensland where we are, I'm a big beer drinker, and you've seen some local businesses up here do certain campaigns, particularly with Birchal, and it just creates a community and a sense of loyalty. There's certain beer brands, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them, that I'll constantly buy from because I own a very small percentage of them.
Love it. And that's what it's about. It's about creating communities, right? Which is what's so at the core of everything that you do at Cowch. So love it. We all love beer here too. In the presentation, you mentioned that there would be a max of 5 gelato bars per dessert cocktail bar in your hub and spoke model. Could you please go into some more detail on this?
Yeah. Okay. Look, it could be a max of 5. It could be up to a max of 2 or 3. Obviously, it's still in its infancy in the design. The first store, like I said, is in Wurundjeri. For those in Brisbane, it's only a hop, skip and a jump from our flagship and our OG in our South Bank store. But it allows us to, the spokes will allow us to go into smaller and closer locations. The problem with hubs, when you've only got 4, you need to be very, very strategic in the locations where you put them, and you don't want to put them geographically within 10 kilometers of each other. Otherwise, they cannibalize each other in terms of Uber Eats and customers and etc. So the spokes will allow us to really, like, there's no point having dessert cocktail bar in one location, then our competitors like Gelato Messina or Gelatissimo or Nita go and open up gelato bars around, because that would cannibalize our dessert cocktail bar. So we would want to have that gelato game. So if the customers are going to go to just a gelato bar, hopefully they come to a Cowch to gelato bar and not anyone else. So that's the strategy. It's like I said, it's in its infancy, but even if there's 2 or 3 around strategically around every location, I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah, great. And as with everything, it sounds like you analyze everything really well and take on feedback from customers. So it sounds like you'd really be taking those insights on board as you develop that strategy.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I can't see any more questions. If anyone else has another question, feel free to quickly pop it in the box. Otherwise, I'd love to thank Brad and Arif for their time today. It's been really great to learn a little bit more about Cowch and share the Cowch journey with everyone here on the webinar. So further information on the offer will all become available next week. So please express your interest in the campaign if you want to receive all of that information first up, if you haven't already done so. There are a few perks of doing so, so that'll all be available on the campaign profile. And again, this has been recorded, so you'll receive an email afterwards with the recording. So if you had to jump off or if you need to share it with anyone, please do. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.